Oh, yeah, we're not the suits that talk football. We're the dudes that know football. And you've just crossed over into the Trend Zone. Casey here with Dave. We are the football dudes. Dave, are you ready, bro?
Oh, yeah. You got that right, my friend.
All right, next stop, the Trend Zone. It is Wednesday, October 8th, coming to you from Los Angeles, California. Hey, Dave, it's 75 in the Sherm. What you got on the west side, bro?
It's a beautiful 66 and sunny. It's another perfect day here
Oh,
on the west side.
that fall chill is really setting in, baby.
It's still beautiful.
Still beautiful. In today's episode, we'll talk about an old quarterback gets new stripes. Can we kick it? Yes, we can. Even more football is on the way. A little survivor. Our fantasy go back starts of the weekend. All of the awesome games from the upcoming week. But Dave, we cannot take a trip into the Trend Zone without a tasty nug for the people. What you got?
Yeah, how about this, man? CBS drew its biggest single header audience in 12 years
Wow.
thanks to the Broncos-Eagles game. An awesome game. And CBS drew 19.6 million viewers on Sunday. That is the best single header window since 2013. So it's been a while since they pulled those kind of numbers, man. So pretty awesome. But yeah, NFL is king, and they just smashed the number there.
I was pretty happy with that game. I like how the Eagles are winning the whole time until the fourth quarter, only to watch their lead dwindle and turn that W into an L. Good
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah, Broncos and zebras living together. This is awful. Those
It's
calls, man.
anarchy. Oh, they went both
Oof.
way, my friend, with the
Oof.
tush push. But guess what? We have no more undefeated teams. And you know who is undefeated? The Trend Zone, because we are available for subscription. Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Amazon Music. All right, Dave. Kickoff returns are back in the
Yeah.
NFL in a big way, brother.
They're back and beautiful, man. I'll tell you what, through 5 weeks of the season, 79.5% of kickoffs have been returned. And that is an absolutely enormous change since the offseason rule where they spotted after a touchback the ball at the 35 instead of 30. That 5 extra yards there changed the whole thinking of all these coordinators and head coaches and say, hey, let's go ahead and force them to return it. And it has worked, baby. I'll tell you what, last year, touchbacks at the 30-yard line, only 32.8% were returned. So it's like doubled that right now for this year, more than doubled. And then if you go back to before the dynamic kickoff in 2023, only 21.8%, so less than 22% of kickoffs before they tweaked the rule to have all the players lined up closer to each other. So I knew that was a great move. It just needed a little nuance change there. And here we are with the kick is back, baby. The kickoff is an exciting play. And there's a lot of differences, different teams with different theories and ideas of how to, the dirty kick and all this.
Yeah.
And a lot of teams are much better at it than others, both kicking off and covering and also returning the kick. So it's certainly created a whole new area where teams can, play the game of football out there.
Totally. And we've seen a couple of times end of the game scenario where you just got to bury a team deep. Oh, accidentally goes out and the team starts on the 40. So it's adding
Yeah.
another element to it. So
Yeah.
it's
Strategy.
exciting.
Yeah. And the kickoff change was about protecting players and also increasing the kickoffs. Check on both of those deals. The player injuries are down according to the statistics, the numbers they gather on the injuries there, and obviously the returns are way up.
Well, that is definitely a win-win.
Huge.
Have our first big trade of the season, in season anyways. Is it possible this is a lose-lose?
Yeah, we're talking about the Bengals acquiring Joe Flacco from the Browns. So the rare inside the division switch and at the glorious position of quarterback, right? Flacco was not having a great season, in terms of statistical, whatever
Wins
this
and
year.
losses,
And also,
stuff like
the
that.
whole interceptions thing to touchdown ratio, right? So it wasn't all that great, but man, the way the Bengals were just throwing the season away essentially with Browning's play. This maybe just gives him a lower floor to play with Flacco there on the squad. Gives them a chance, if they can, maybe just collect a couple of wins and stay in the hunt, and then hope that Burrow can get back, and they'll still have a reason for Burrow to come back this year. Give him a chance. So yeah, Browning wasn't getting it done. Didn't look like he was turning it around. So they're, at least, if nothing else, going to provide some competition there. And it's also been announced that Flacco will be starting this week. So it won't take him long, obviously, to get in there, and we'll see what he can do.
Yeah, and now if he just ever goes to the Steelers before he retires, he'll have played for all 4 teams in the AFC North.
Yep, official journeyman.
All right. And Dave, your Chargers did a little wheeling and dealing with the AFC North.
Yeah, Chargers were deep at safety. They traded Alohi Gilman to the Ravens for Adafe Owe. And, we needed edge rushing with Khalil Mack hurt. We were just not setting the edge, not getting any pressure from that position. Just Tuli Piloto was the only guy really there. Everyone else is really playing, below average. I imagine Owe is going to get out on the field right away. And on the other side, the Ravens get Alohi Gilman. He's a very serviceable safety, and they've been struggling in the secondary. So I think this one actually is a win-win. There's that, obviously, a lot of familiarity with Ortiz coming from the Ravens organization, having worked there for 25 plus years. So good deal for both teams, I think, to give them just a little help where they're definitely in need of help.
So we also have another trade from a couple years ago that's winding down, and looks like the Titans got the worst of this one.
Yeah, this is a win-lose, as it was a handful of years back where the Titans traded AJ Brown over to the Eagles. And with that pick, they got the 18th and the 101st pick back. They drafted directly with that 18th pick Treylon Burks. Well, he has now officially been released. He was hurt. He's had really just a disappointing career. And AJ Brown, meanwhile, signed a 4-year, $100 million contract with the Eagles and won the Super Bowl. So, wow. Not really much. And the 101 pick, I tried to track it down. It was used by the Jets. I don't know. So they just traded it or something. I'm not sure exactly what the other piece of that was, but it feels like the Titans got nothing back.
Yeah, brutal. Just brutal, Dave.
Yeah.
Hey, we have a Money Badger sighting.
That's right. The Colts kicker tore his ligaments. Schrader is out for the season. They signed the Money Badger, Michael Badgley, who has been pretty good since 2018, right? 82% plus of field goals and 96% on extra points. So he's one of those dudes that, he can come in and be quite serviceable for the Colts at this point in time.
And I guess that kicker is happy he does not play for the Lions, dude, because they'd be wearing out that leg as well.
Yeah, well, on kickoffs, probably, with all the points the Lions are scoring. They're on pace to score the second most points in NFL history in a single season. And after that first week, it certainly didn't feel like it. With everyone's like, "Ooh, are they going to be able to overcome the loss of Ben Johnson and the coordinators in general?"
The answer is yes, Dave.
Yes. They have now scored. They lead the league with 174 points on the season. In the last 4 games, they've been cranking it on average. Through 5 games, they've averaged just under 35 points a game. So, yeah, that's a ton of points. And they're on pace for that second place, but they do have the extra game. It was the current record, 606 points. It was, let's see, Peyton Manning in the 2013 Broncos. And then after that, 589. That's the one that's in jeopardy here, set by Tom Brady in the 2007 Patriots. So this is a pretty lofty scoring average. We'll see if they can keep it up. But, man, this Lions team is fun to watch on offense, man. If you like fireworks, watch the Lions.
Yeah, they are an exciting team. Dave, for sickos like you and I that can't get enough football, that actually watch spring football, some good news for the rest of our brethren that are in the same boat.
Yeah, the UFL is going to be back again. And I actually, when I read this article, got a little excited for when the season's going to start.
Yeah, you did.
The thing is they're kind of coming up with a new idea to try and make the live experience more entertaining for the fans. So they're moving into smaller stadiums. The general idea is they're signing deals so they can play in soccer stadiums, which are 30,000 or something like that,
Mhm.
40,000. I don't know the numbers on individual stadiums, but they're aiming for that smaller. So there aren't a gigantic amount of empty seats, but they did switch out some cities. So they add Columbus, Louisville, and Orlando. They get rid of Michigan, Memphis, and San Antonio. The new teams are the Columbus Aviators, the Louisville Kings, and the Orlando Storm. So, and they're all playing in the local MLS, stadiums, which are newer stadiums because the MLS has done a great job expanding their sport. And so these are more cozy environments to hopefully develop that actual in stadium experience for the fans.
Yeah, good news for Ohioans. Pro football finally coming to the state.
Oh,
Oh,
ooh.
dang. Catching straight.
Okay.
Okay,
Okay.
Dave, moving on. There is actually one more professional league gonna come into the scene, but this one is backed by the NFL.
Yeah, it's a professional flag football league, which should be dang exciting. Like they're kind of targeting that Olympics in 28 as where they want to sort of already be flourishing and showing the world, hey, we're putting together this pro league for flag football. It's going to be pretty exciting. It's a way of growing the sport. Obviously, not every kid is going to play tackle football when they're 9 years old, like I did. So this gets them out on the field, gets them running around. You get all the elements of football and that get that love of football going, and then at some point those kids turn into NFL players, baby. So NFL looking to just spread the popularity of football in a general sense, but also continuing to develop talent, and it's going to be exciting to watch these guys.
Yeah, and it's already grown immensely in middle school, high school. We
Yep.
have girls teams in high schools too. And now kids are getting acclimated to the game without the wear and tear of tackle football. We're
Yeah.
seeing a lot of kids play flag right up into the last year or two of high school and then putting on the pads. So it'll be interesting to see the mix of up and coming flag players and then former NFL players can make that transition into career. So I think it's
Yeah.
exciting. More football, the more better. So,
Yep.
and right in the backyard, 2028 Olympics, flag football here in Los Angeles. Stoked for that. All right, Dave. I got to bring down the stoke levels. I don't want to do
Yeah.
it, but
Here it comes.
unfortunately, it's part of it. Some more brutal injuries around the league.
Yeah, I'll try and be brief on these, but get it started with New England running back Antonio Gibson. He's out for the season with a torn ACL. That one suffered in the big win over the Bills the other day. Tough situation there. They do still have Ramondre Stevenson and Travion Henderson there, so
Yep.
they're okay at running back.
What about the Jags?
Yeah, Jags tight end Brendan Strange. He'll be on IR. That means 4 games out for him. He's coming back, so that's the good news. But second round pick. He was kind of just coming to his own a little
Yeah.
bit, and so it's a little bit of a bummer there. But he's going to be derailed, but he'll be back.
Okay. And this one's brutal too. Hits a little bit closer to home for your Chargers.
Yeah, Chargers are really heavily injured, and this one's really a bummer because Omari and Hampton, they already lost Najee Harris for the year. Omari and Hampton comes up with they don't say, but it's a high ankle sprain. He'll be out for 4 games. They're hopeful though that will be just 4 games for Omari and Hampton. He was really coming on the last 3 games,
Yeah.
maybe showing you why he was the first round pick for the Chargers.
And then you went to see the Bruce Dickinson on Sunday night. What
That's right,
about
baby.
the Landon Dickerson?
Unfortunately, could miss a couple games with an ankle. Unfortunately, they do play on Thursday, which kind of accelerates that one's pretty much a lost game unless something miracle happens. But then looking towards that next game in week 7, where he has a little time to get right on that ankle.
And then the G-men are probably going to be without Darius Slayton in that Thursday night game, dude. That's no
Yeah.
bueno for the Giants. And it didn't meant to see it last Sunday because Rashad White came in and did a great job, but this could be a big time injury for the Bucks.
Oh, big time, dude. Yeah, Bucky Irving. Uh, it was apparently a foot, but then later on they also said, "Hey, wait a minute, something's going on with the shoulder too." So if Irving is a no go, then that is, I mean, it's a huge loss for their offense. He is such a bulldozer back there and as explosive as can be. So big loss for the Bucks.
All right, Dave. It is time for some total fantasy domination. And this quarterback had 244 pass yards and 4 touchdowns and 30 rushing yards for the Disco Donkeys. Who am I talking about?
That would be CJ Stroud, dude, and he got it done, brother. So, and also put them in the W column, more importantly. But I'm not sure how many people were playing Stroud at this point, but maybe that'll get them on their radar for.
I was in my other league because I had Joe Burrow go down with my George Kittle, so helped propel me to a win. But Dave, how about Rico Suave Dowdle,
Yeah.
former Cowboy, current Purple Sabbath and Carolina Panthers? Don't have a beverage in your mouth because you have to do a spit take. 206 rush yards, a rushing TD, and 28 receiving yards.
Man, very impressive. And
Mhm.
at receiver, dude, we've been talking about this guy. I mean, I say pencil him in right now, but maybe use some ink on this puppy for the a rookie of the year on the offensive side, Emeka Ibuka. Man, this guy is a consummate pro in 5 weeks into the NFL. Lost the Los Burros Locos and Tampa Bay Buccaneers, bringing out wide receiver Emeka at 163 yards, a receiving touchdown, and the 2-point conversion. Man, guy's killing it.
Yeah, and then on the other side of that game, AJ Barner, the big tight end, he had 53 receiving yards, 2 touchdowns, was feeling pretty good about things until he got shaken and bacon at the end of that game. And Baker does what he always does and rips the heart out of the opponent. All right, Dave, speaking of ripping your heart out, when you set your lineup on Saturday night now, because we have those super early Sunday games, and you make a poor coaching decision. If you could go back and do a fantasy go back start, what would you have done?
I'll tell you what, I could have put in Higgins over Keenan Allen. I finally made the switch because Higgins was doing nothing, and then Keenan, of course, doesn't get a touchdown, and Higgins did a better job. It was only a 2.4 difference, so I scored second place and got my W. So no big deal here.
Well, I could have started Matt Stafford over Josh Allen. Never going to happen. And I could have started Kareem Hunt over James Cook. Never going to happen. But even had I done so, Dave, I would have gotten smoked by the other Hewitt. The bolt
Uh-oh.
actions crushed the Foul Boys, sending us to our third straight loss, dude. And I knew my season was effed when we got the report card from NFL.com and it said I was going, 14-2 A+ draft playoffs. I was like, oh shit, way to jinx me. Foul Boys are reeling, looking for help. King Henry not getting it done, and James Cook not getting it done. But
Yeah.
it's a long season. Just gotta stay the course. All right, Dave. Survivor, 3 strikes. Last week's most popular correct pick was.
That would be Detroit over Cincinnati. I was on that boat.
Oh yeah, last week's most popular incorrect pick was.
Arizona over Tennessee, and these people had to be unbelievably beside themselves in this game.
Oh, yeah, we'll get into that when we move into the games, but just
Exactly.
so brutal. All right, Dave, hit me with a couple picks for the upcoming week that might
Yeah,
do you good.
the overwhelming favorite here is Green Bay over Cincy. Even apparently the Flacco news didn't trickle into the Survivor community there. That one's almost 48%.
Wow.
Up next, though, with over 15% is Philly to beat the Giants, and then with just over 9%, it's Denver over the Jets. So those are 3 really nice picks that cover a pretty good majority of the people right now.
And since that Denver Jets is overseas, we're going to go ahead and let touchdowns be on the metric system for the Jets. So every time they score a touchdown, it's worth 14.5 points.
Yes, thank goodness. That gives them a chance.
That does give them a chance. All right, Dave, enough of that crap. Let's get into the game previews. It is week 6, my brother.
What?
Yeah,
Did
week
you say
6.
Week 6? It's slipping away. Sorry.
Way past the quarter of the season. We're almost halfway
Oh,
through
my
this
goodness.
thing.
Wow.
And I don't know why the hell the NFL does it. Only 2 teams on buys this week, the Houston Texans and the Minnesota Vikings.
Yes.
Can't we squeeze some more teams into this bye mix and not have them go to week 14? Seems like there's room there. But nonetheless, Dave, let's get this thing started with some Thursday night football.
Yeah. Thursday night football brings us the Philadelphia Eagles at the New York Giants, and the Eagles are favored by 7.5.
Oh, and those Eagles were looking pretty good 3/4 of the way through that game with the
So good.
Broncos, but then they just let the game drop and get away from them. That knocks them out of the ranks of the undefeated. And the Eagles have been kind of getting by with smoke and mirrors. It is one of the most talented squads, but just figuring out a way to win these close games.
Yeah.
And then the Giants were feeling pretty good, but they went to the New Orleans Saints and got absolutely demolished 26-14. Not even really that close. Saints domination.
Crazy.
Yeah. So a big game for the Eagles to get right. The Giants get to get a little taste of Saquon Barkley coming back. And the green Saquon's been pretty slow, but I think he's going to find a way to get it going on Thursday.
Yeah. Should be a good game. That Eagles offense has got to get it going,
Yep. Get AJ in there. He's got the books to read and he'd rather be catching passes. All right, Dave. In the very early time slot, we're talking about overseas in London, swinging London town, man. It is those Denver Broncos at the New York Jets, and the Broncos are 7.5-point favorites.
Yeah, and you mentioned it obviously in the previous one, that Broncos with the spectacular win last week, hanging around against those Eagles, and then finally, getting it instead of tying the game, going for two late in that game, and that kind of forced the pressure on that Eagles squad late. They end up winning that game 21-17, a real signature win for Bo Nix, Sean Payton, and this Denver Broncos squad. On the other side, you got the Jets. I mean, what can you say? They've dropped 5 in a row. Last week, getting pummeled by your Cowboys, KC, and the score of 37-22 doesn't really do justice to how badly they were beaten in that game. This Jets team is sorry, London. I'm sorry.
We tried.
Yeah.
We really tried.
At least enjoy the first half.
Yeah. And it might be time
have a beer
for the Jets to start dishing off some of these players. I'm sure they could get something in back for Breece Hall. They're obviously not going to trade Garrett Wilson, but it's bad.
A couple of weeks here before the trade deadline. I believe it's November 4th. So we have a couple more weeks for these teams to determine that they're officially not going to make the playoffs this year, and that might want to focus on next year. But yeah, there's some pieces there that could be appealing to other teams.
That's right.
All right, moving along. Right, it is the regular morning slot or 1 o'clock slot on the Eastern Coast. It is the Browns at the Steelers, and this one is going to be Steelers favored by 5.5 in the division where the Steelers just seem to be, default winners, right?
Yeah.
Get them into the playoffs here, right?
It's crazy, man, but here they are. They're coming off of their bye week. They went over there and beat the Vikings a couple weeks ago, and now the Browns are coming back having lost to the Vikings last week. But Dylan Gabriel played pretty well, getting his first start in the NFL. Actually had the Browns in place to win that thing, but the defense could not hold the Carson Wentz Vikings, and they came down and got the game winner. Everybody wonders what's up with Shador. Is he going to be the quarterback too? Stefanski's being kind of tight-lipped about that, so we'll see what happens there. But I thought Gabriel was fine. Quinshon Judkins was more than fine, dude. Ooh, this guy looks like he is an emerging star at the running back position. So they're going to have another big game from him to beat these Steelers, and a week off for the Steelers to recoup from that big win. Like you said, defaulting, leading that AFC North. Don't mess around and lose to this Browns team. Handle your business at home. Get Renegade popping in the fourth quarter and do what you need to do.
All right. Yeah, no doubt about it. This should be Steelers take care of business at home, right?
Simple. Yeah. All right. Up next, we have the New England Patriots at the New Orleans Saints, a battle of the news. And the news is the Patriots favored by 3.5.
Yeah. And last week, hey, the Patriots let the league know that this Vrabel-led Patriot squad with Drake May slinging it is for real. They're here to play, and they took care of business against Buffalo. There was an impressive victory. Man, I'll tell you, that one was a fun game to watch. And then you look on the other side, you've got the Saints. They were just lost, man. They were looking like they were heading towards a winless season, and sure enough,
The
they came
Giants
up
come to
big.
town.
Yeah, they got just what they needed. They were getting crushed, those 14-3, and it looked like they were just going to fold up again. But they scored, I believe, 23 unanswered points in that game and just mowed over the Gigantes there, forcing a lot of errors for the kid quarterback over there in New York. So, yeah, so this, who knows? Maybe they're waking up this Saints squad. But yeah, this is going to be a tough battle with the Patriots coming to town.
Yeah, dude. And on Sunday night on the road, Drake May, not great numbers, but when there was a play, that dude made
Man,
it. And the
yeah,
last couple weeks, him and Stephon Diggs have really been getting it going.
yeah,
Stevenson having some fumble troubles. He has a couple touchdowns. Vrabel stays with him. So maybe these Patriots already have it turned around. I love the toughness, and that's what you can expect from a Vrabel team. Pretty cool.
no doubt about it. All right, up next, it is our Los Angeles Rams heading to Baltimore to play the Ravens. Rams are favored by 7.5 in Baltimore. That number at the beginning of the year, you'd be like, what? What's going on with that? But man, perfect time to go to the Ravens nest and see if you can take care of business for this
Yeah,
Rams
and the
squad.
Rams are coming off a really bad tasting loss on Thursday night against the Niners.
Oh,
The
yeah.
Niners come into LA, and I don't want to go too deep into them, ravished with injuries. Mac Jones comes out. They get up big. The Rams get that thing tied, get it into overtime, 4th and 1. They go for it. Niners hold. Rams get just like a gross loss. And you could see McVay afterwards. He was like so pissed that
Yeah.
he did that call. And especially you got Puka Nakua and you got Devontae Adams. I'm
Yeah.
trusting Matt Stafford, future Hall of Famer, to get me a yard going to one of those two guys rather than trying to run in to that Niners front. So a
Yeah.
real bitter pill for them to swallow. But dude, it's more bitter than that. Getting blowed the F out by the Houston Texans
Ooh.
44-10 at home, dude. I don't know how many fans were left in that thing, but it got over quick. Cooper Rush not playing great, but the whole team is not. They're a mash unit on defense.
Yeah.
They've got like 7 or 8 starters out. They find out Kyle Hamilton's not playing last week. If they don't get a couple of those guys back, it could be another 44-10 blowout, man. And the Ravens, dude, are on the verge. Dropping to 1-5 if they lose this game?
Yeah, you got to wonder how deep of a hole can what we think, if they were healthy, a playoff caliber football team. But we don't know if they're going to have Lamar. I mean, and you mentioned there's a litany of defensive players out. This is an awful defense they're fielding right now.
Yeah, it's gonna be tough. So we will see what happens with that one. All right, Dave. Your Los Angeles Chargers at the Miami Dolphins. Chargers 4.5-point favorites. Dave,
Yeah,
you had one job: beat the NFC East teams that aren't the Cowboys.
we are not complying with that order, dude. That's 2 straight losses for the Chargers after coming out 3-0 and feeling great about themselves. The offensive line is an absolute shambles. Uh, but at one point we were down our top 4 offensive linemen on during last week. We are down obviously Rashawn Slater for the year. Joe Alt is out for it's been several games now. And we lost our right tackle, Pipkins, and then Mekhi Becton. Something went wrong with his hand or finger or something. He missed most of the game. Yeah, it was a terrible performance. If you didn't see the game and you just looked at Herbert's numbers, you think, not bad, but what didn't get it done. He was amazing, just unbelievable slinging it around. But the offensive line, it's like 1 second and he's getting crushed.
Yeah.
He's got to get the ball out of his hands immediately. The worst news, they lost Omarion Hampton, who was really lighting it up lately. They still got some great receivers, but you have to have more than 1 second for them to get out in a route. On the other side, you got the Dolphins, right? They got beat by the Carolina Panthers last week, and this is a Dolphins team that's really kind of in a desperate situation right now with 1 win on the season. Uh, they don't have Tyreek Hill, their most explosive weapon. They are sort of injury prone in a general sense, but they just haven't gotten it together. They don't seem to have that direction really that they had when the mad scientist coach there, McDaniel, arrived.
Mm-hmm.
Now there's talk it might not be, he might not make the season. Who knows? We'll see. Is Tua going to be able to light it up? Last week he played pretty well, actually.
Yeah.
When you look at the
They had a
numbers,
huge lead going into the fourth quarter.
yeah, they couldn't run the football though, and you can't be one dimensional in this league and expect it to pay off in the long run, because when you got a lead and you can't run the football, you just invite the other team back in.
Yeah, and 2 things from your Chargers last week. The Quentin Johnston fumble,
Yeah,
clearly helmet to helmet. The guy speared him. It
yeah,
should have been a defensive penalty. And then running into the kicker, wipes
nightmare.
out the Lad McConkey
It was a
touchdown return.
beautiful, yeah,
The game flipped right there. You
yeah,
got to know what you're doing right there. You're going to get good
yeah,
field position. You don't need to
yeah,
gamble and lay out and hit the punter.
yeah. That's a
Terrible.
practice squad guy that was elevated due to injuries. We're down Khalil Mack also on that side of the football. So, yeah, it was a mistake. Clearly, there's no reason to try and block that punt. If you do, probably goes out of the end zone.
Yeah, safety. And you're set up on that side of the field with, well, I think it was 10-0 at that point.
Yeah,
Brutal.
it was 10-3. We would have made it, or 10-7. We would have made it 17-7. Instead, they got a field goal to tie it at 10. Yeah. Everything that went wrong, that could go wrong, did go wrong on that, including the second week in a row for the Chargers with a crap load of penalties. But we must move on, Casey. Up next is the Cowboys at the Panthers. Cowboys favored just by 3.5 in this one on the road in Carolina.
Yeah, that's because they're coming in with one of the worst defenses in the history of the NFL. Talked about Rico Dowdle with his 200 yards last week. Bryce Young is really coming into his own. Panthers played great down the stretch last year. A little shaky start, but they're rounding into form.
Yeah.
But Dave, this is more about the Cowboys, man. Last week, they go into New York and beat a bad team that they should beat. Let's see how they handle some prosperity, coming off the Green Bay tie that had stuck in their craw. They went down there and handled their business. This is a game that they should go handle. Dak is playing out of his freaking mind right now. And they did it last week, missing 4 offensive linemen. And George Pickens with a great day, but Ryan Flanoy, dude, this cat, 6 grabs, 114 yards, wearing the 19, giving me the Miles Austin vibes. And Jake Ferguson back on the scene with 2 touchdowns. But it was really, the young guys are starting to get in there. The defense had 5 sacks last week after no pressure. And what changed this game? The Jets are driving. Maris Leofau, boom, punches that ball out of Breece Hall's hands. Cowboys recover inside the 10, go down, get a touchdown. And instead of it being 10-10 at halftime, Cowboys get 2 scores, make it 24-3 at halftime. Also, because of that 66-yard run by Javonte Williams. He had 8.4 per carry, 135 last week, and he made the heads-up play when he's running. Cowboys, no timeout, 19 seconds left in the first half. He goes out of bounds, set up that last touchdown. So I love what Shoddy's doing here. If the defense can just get to normal, this offense is playing lights out, and they're doing it without CD and without Kevontae Turpin. So, but don't mess around here. Go to Carolina and beat these stupid Panthers. Do not let up. So let's see what happens, man. It's not going to be easy, but it's a game they should win.
Yeah, no doubt. And the Cowboys, like you said, without some of their weapons, they got to get this W, keep themselves in the mix, and then bring back the guys, and then you'll be ready to sort of head towards the
Yeah.
playoffs there,
Oh,
right?
that back half is brutal, so they cannot mess around and lose this game. Okay.
Yeah, got to have the
Speaking
wins.
of brutal, Dave, both of these teams got a taste of it. It is the Arizona Cardinals at the Indianapolis Colts, and the Colts are 5.5-point favorites.
Yeah. Well, I'm on charge of these Cardinals right here, Casey. And wow, we talked about it briefly earlier. What an incredibly disappointing turn of events for this squad last week as they were absolutely dominating up at one point 21-3 over the winless Titans and unable to finish the game off with a W. And at one turning point was, of course, DeMarcado with the boneheaded mistake of dropping the football on his way to the end zone. He got chewed out big time, and the NFL stepped in and chewed out the coach financially. But just such an utterly disappointing way to you win. You basically feel like you win the football game, and you somehow end up with a loss in that one. And it doesn't get more disappointing than the way that thing kind of unraveled, especially just dominating against a team that has no business, beating you. So, yeah.
And then, dude, how often do you see the game winning interception to seal the game get fumbled to go to the end zone and the other team recovers it? I mean,
It's
two
crazy.
catastrophic mistakes
Yeah.
by the Cardinals. Man, you saw despondent Kyler Murray. He didn't know what to think, dude. He was like, oh, so
Yeah.
brutal. Well,
Yeah.
let me go ahead and talk about these Colts real quick. Adonai Mitchell did the same thing a week before. I guess the Cardinals weren't watching that game because
Right.
he's got an 80-yard touchdown. He decides to hold the ball up and fumbles it, and the Colts end up dropping that game. Otherwise, they're undefeated on the season. They're still tied for first place in that division. I can't wait to see them play the Jags, words I never thought I would hear myself say, but they absolutely destroyed the Raiders last week, sacking Geno 4 times and 2
Beautiful.
interceptions, dude. And your guy, Jonathan Taylor, man, is destroying the league. He's playing such good football, but so is Dimebag Danny, man. This guy was trash for the Giants. They let him go, and man, he's had a total resurgence, and he is playing great football, dude. Last week, 20-29, 229, and 2 touchdowns. Dave, 0 interceptions, man. This guy is playing great football.
Yeah.
The team is playing complimentary football, and they find themselves right now. If the season ended, I know the season's not ending. They would be the 1 seed in the AFC, the Colts.
Unbelievable, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I do remember in our season preview saying they're going to be surprisingly better than people think they are. Look out for these teams. Jones looks good, and he's coming into his own here, right? And there's pieces on that offense that are exciting.
Yeah, dude, and you can't have too many good quarterbacks in the league. It's just the league is better when there's good quarterback play, and Dimebag is holding his end of the bargain right there.
No doubt about it. All right, what is next? It is the Seahawks at the Jaguars, and the Jags are at home favored by 1.5. This is a good football game.
Yeah, dude, and just a brutal loss for the Seahawks last week to the Bucks. They lose 38-35. They got bakered at the end of this thing. Just back and forth. What an incredible fourth quarter. And Sam Darnold's playing pretty damn good football, although this is the second time we've seen the costly turnover at the end of the game. And both times he's done that, it's cost the team a victory here. But pretty good, 28-34, 4 touchdowns, but that one costly interception. It looks like Kenneth Walker is getting it going for these guys, finally back on pace. A couple years ago, he was really doing well. It's kind of dropped off, but they are relying on that run. But Jackson Smith and Jigba, baby. Oh, my God. What is it with these Ohio State receivers?
They're
8
awesome.
for 132 and a touchdown. And the throwbacks last week were completely awesome. But the Seahawks, not defense in this one, but the offense is just ripping. Just got to take care of the ball, especially late in that thing.
Yeah, and how about this Jaguars squad getting that win against the Chiefs? Nobody saw that coming. I mean, I could see them playing good and making it fun, but the Chiefs find a way to win, right?
They always do.
Yep, not this time, man. What a beautiful win for the Jaguars and for Trevor Lawrence getting that the way it ended with him kind of fumbling the snap, getting stepped on and falling, and then finding his way to the end zone. Chris Jones, a little embarrassed at his
Mm-hmm.
lack of effort on that play. We know what a beast the guy is. Man, maybe he's finally getting older where he just needs to take a couple plays off in here and there, but he never seems to. Right there, got caught, and he canceled all of his social media apparently after a result of that. But back to the Jaguars and Trevor Lawrence, man, what a gutsy performance for Trevor Lawrence in that game. And not only that, Brian Thomas, man, the guy is really, really a stud out there. But Travis Hunter on both sides of the football, making his presence known as the rookie there, doing some good job on the coverage end, and also making a couple of receptions as well. So,
And how about Devin Lloyd with that 99-yard interception off of Mahomes? We usually see that happening for the Chiefs. It's usually the Chiefs doing that. And
right.
Dave, 2 calls in this game. Clearly a pick on the first touchdown that Mahomes said, no, ref, that's not. They're like, okay, we'll pick up the flag. And then late in that thing, when the defender for the Chiefs totally takes out the receiver, it ends up as an interception for Trevor Lawrence, but it clearly pass interference. So Chiefs getting some love, but it still was not enough.
Yeah. No surprise Chiefs getting love from the refs, but it's a beautiful thing when it's not enough and the other team prospers.
Oh, spread their wealth a little bit. All right, Dave. If you like football, this might not be a game for you. We're talking the Tennessee Titans at the Las Vegas Raiders, and the Raiders are 5.5-point favorites.
Yeah, and how about this Titans team? They get their first win last week with the turn of events we discussed earlier against the Cardinals. Kudos to them. They hung in there. They rallied and didn't give up. Cam is getting the reps. You know, you take your lumps in this league and you get better. You know,
if that game though,
don't get
even with
ruined.
Cardinals' mistakes, it felt like it kind of finally clicked, and you saw the offense actually working. I mean, they needed help from the Cards, but it felt like they took a step regardless of that.
Yeah, and it's maybe hopefully enough to save Brian Callahan for a little while. We started talking about the hot seat and whose seat's getting hotter. No doubt that win really helps in that respect as well. But let's talk about this Raiders squad with Pete Carroll coaching them. The Raiders got absolutely spanked last week by the Indianapolis Colts, 40-6. And man, 6 points. Geno Smith tossing too many picks on the season. I don't know how many it is. He may be leading the league in that category, but Geno, dude, protect the football a little bit. 2 picks last week, and just not enough offense and consistency. You don't score 6 points in the NFL and ever come away with the W. That's just doesn't happen.
Mm-mm. Yeah, they got to quit turning the ball over, because every turnover means that's not a handoff to Ashton Genty, man. 2 weeks ago, the guy was really getting it going, but when you turn the ball over, man, bad things happen and get you out of your game plan.
I mean, Genty's a good receiver out of the backfield too, but when you're that far behind and you're just losing the football, like you're never going to have a chance to feature your running back.
Yeah, and they just pay Geno all that money too. I don't know how the contract is structured, if they can get out of it, but at this rate, they will be looking for a quarterback in the draft, if not sooner.
Yikes. All right, up next, it is the Cincinnati Bengals at the Green Bay Packers in what the schedule makers envisioned was going to be a sweet game. Packers are favored by 14.5. Vegas is telling us what they think of that football game. It doesn't seem to be close, but Packers favored by 14.5, which is crazy, right?
Yeah, and the Bengals have a ton of issues. Browning was part of them with those 3 interceptions, so they go out and they do make the trade to bring Flacco in, who will be getting the start. But, dude, everybody thought that Brown was going to be kicking so much butt in the run game, dude. He had 8 rushes for 27 yards. I know that game got away from them, and they had a couple scores late, and it made it look a lot closer than it was. But this game was not close at all. I don't know that Flacco is even the short-term answer to get Burrow, if that's even going to make sense. And his lack of mobility, it might be a little bit of trouble this week, because Packers got this guy. I don't know if you heard of him. His name's Micah Parsons. He
Oh yeah.
tends to get after the quarterback. But ironically, Jamar Chase has more solo tackles than Micah Parsons does to this point. So I do expect that to change on Sunday. Packers coming off a bye week 2 weeks ago, had the 40-40 tie with the Cowboys. That last pass bumping off of Jack Sanborn. If it could have just gone up in the air before coming to the ground, they wouldn't have had time to get that last second field goal. But LaFleur's got him in there, paying a little more attention to detail. They should roll in this thing. Josh Jacobs got it going in that second half against the Cowboys. Under 4 yards of carry, but the 2 big touchdowns. So plenty of weapons. This should be a game that the Packers completely roll. But
Yeah.
3 weeks ago, we saw the Browns come into town and beat these Packers. So maybe Flacco could be the first quarterback in NFL history to beat the Packers twice with 2 different teams in the same division.
Unbelievable. It's just crazy enough that it could happen.
It might. We shall see. All right, Dave. Up next, this should be a pretty good game.
Yeah.
The 49ers at the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and the Bucs are 2.5-point favorites.
Yeah, and 49ers, as you mentioned briefly earlier, coming off a really impressive win over divisional rival the Rams.
Dude, just grimy Mac Jones, dude.
Mac.
This guy was getting his ass kicked, got up every time, and was playing great football, dude.
Yeah.
So proud of the effort, and I hate the Niners. Okay,
yeah,
sorry.
and I don't know if there's going to end up being a quarterback controversy. I can't imagine, but man, Mac Jones is playing some gutsy football. You said it, dude. 49 pass attempts, 33 of 49, 342 yards and 2 scores. That's they're leaning on him, right? He's getting it done there. McCaffrey 60 yards rushing, and Brian Robinson just 12 more. So not anything really on the ground there. McCaffrey with another 82 though through the air. So they are getting the running back involved outside out of the backfield there with the receptions. But man, how about Bourne, receiver, 10 receptions for 142 yards. Man, 14.2 yard average. Man, hello. Kendrick Bourne is lighting it up there. And you know what? I mean, that performance, even though, like I said, they're down so many bodies on that squad, especially Kittle and, the receivers,
Ayuk,
Jennings, right? I mean, just too many guys out.
Pearsall,
right. The guy, right. So, I mean, my gosh, this is going to be a hell of a challenge going to Tampa Bay and facing Baker Mayfield and what they put out on the field there, even if they don't get Bucky back.
Yeah, dude. And Baker Mayfield, I know it's only a few weeks and he doesn't want to hear it, but you got to be putting this guy into MVP consideration.
Yeah.
It's not only the numbers, 29 to 33, 379, 2 touchdowns last week, but He's got like 4 last-minute victories.
Yeah.
You're leaving Baker. He's doing Tom Brady things, man.
Yeah.
And it's so impressive to watch. And this guy was not good enough to play in Cleveland. And now look what he's doing for these Bucs. Just so impressive. But Ibuka, dude, the steal of the draft. I don't care where you got him. He was 7 for 163 and a touchdown. But just the guy plays with veteran savviness.
Yeah, his route running is
I've never seen anything like it, dude. And also getting Godwin a little healthy, and that's giving them more time to get Mike Evans healthy. Sterling Shepard had a nice touchdown in that game, and they've really not gotten a lot of production out of the tight end Otten yet, but he'll get more involved. Mentioned if Bucky can't go, Rachaad White, not a lot, but they can trust him in situations to make the right play. They got to get Bucky back though. But and you got to remember a couple years ago when Bosa was trying to sack Baker on that 4th down, and Baker stiff arms him and gets the pass off, completes for the first down against these Niners. And remember when Baker had the flag plant at Ohio State. Bosa never forgets. Unfortunately, Bosa won't be in this game.
Yeah.
But this is a huge game. Lots of NFC West teams snipping at the heels of the Niners, but the Bucs have a chance to kind of run away with this NFC South, handle your biz at home. I know that the crowd will be all lathered for this one, dude. It is going to be a good game.
No doubt about it. This is going to be fun, and just watching that Buccaneer squad, they're a fun team to watch. The way, like you said, Baker puts them on their back and just gets that drive that they need to win.
Yep. Never
Good
out of
stuff,
it with him. Never out of
man.
it.
Yeah, he's a gamer. All right, moving it on. Sunday night football. It is the Detroit Lions at the Kansas City Chiefs in one of the
Woo!
best games of the weekend. Chiefs at home are favored by 1.5 in this one. Wow. Tell you what, this is going to be a fun one.
Yeah, and Patrick Mahomes has never beaten Goff, and it was a handful of years ago that they moved a game. I think they had to move it to Monday night. It was the Rams and the Chiefs when they were still at the Coliseum, and they battled like 50-50 or whatever. Just
That's
an
right.
incredible game, and the Rams came out on top. Well, they shipped Jared Goff off to Detroit, and that's the best thing that's ever happened to Detroit, dude, and maybe
Yeah.
Goff too, because he is playing outstanding football, dude. He is putting up MVP numbers too, if we're going to talk about it. Last week, 16-27, didn't have to do too much, 2 touchdowns, but he is taking care of the football and he's making the plays there. One of the best play action quarterbacks out there. But the running back duo of Gibbs and Montgomery, dude, outstanding. Montgomery having a touchdown rushing and a throwing one last week. Gibbs 15 for 91 and a touchdown. Man, that little thunder and lightning, Knuckles and Sonic, whatever the hell you want to call it, man.
Right.
This offense you talked about at the top of the show, on pace to be one of the most prolific ever. Amon-Ra St. Brown, grimy, dude. Laporta
Wow.
got into the action last week. So many weapons for this Lions squad. They play better under the dome than they do on the field outside, but is it safe or legitimate to say that the Chiefs are desperate in this game and have to have this win?
You know, I want to believe that. You know, as a person that's so tired of the Chiefs winning the AFC West 9 years in a row, and being into all those Super Bowls, that I'm losing track. But at 2-3, I don't think they are desperate. I think that though this would be a huge win because obviously the Lions are a legitimate Super Bowl contender, and we're starting to wonder if this Chiefs team can put it together. But the AFC West is legitimately completely wide open. They're just one game out of it right now. So you got to look at this. Hey, last week they lost by that much, right?
Yeah.
In the game against Jacksonville. Otherwise, they're 3-2 in a three-way tie. And I'd say they're going to win the division, of course, right? So no, it's not a desperate game, but it's a game that obviously is a big one because it's the next one on the schedule. Mahomes did have a nice game last week, 300 plus yards and a touchdown. One costly pick, as you mentioned, really costly. But here's the problem with Kareem Hunt, a little under 50 yards rushing, Pacheco, 36 yards there. That's okay, except Mahomes is getting 60 yards. He's again their leading rusher.
Mhm.
And it seems like week in and week out, Mahomes is having to do too much with his legs. He's having to do too much Mahomes magic to make these things work. And we talked about, they're getting Rashid Rice back at some point in the near future. I think
After
it's a
next
6-game
week.
suspension, right? So week 7 then. And Xavier Worthy missed a handful of games there, obviously getting knocked out almost immediately when the season started. They do have a decent group of guys with Hollywood Brown, Tyquan Thornton, Smith Schuster there, Kareem Hunt and Pacheco out of the backfield. There's a lot of weaponry there for Patrick Mahomes to work with. And Hollywood Brown, I don't know if I mentioned him, but Kelsey, of course, even though he's on the downside of his career, still those timely catches to move the chains. Yeah, this is again, this is a really really talented Chiefs team still with a lot of diversity. It's not as all the eggs in one basket, but they got to get that ground game going a little bit more. Mahomes should not be the leading rusher. When he
Yeah.
moves the chains with his legs here and there, that's how you want to use them. But the rest of the time, you want those running backs to be able to hammer out some quality yards.
We're also seeing Mahomes take a lot more hits than he's used to, and those are going to add up as the season goes on, Dave. But the schedule coming up, they have the Raiders next week. Not a big deal, but then they're hosting the Commanders. Then they go to Buffalo, bye week at Denver, host the Colts, at Dallas, host the Texans, host the Chargers. So, I mean, if they
Yeah.
don't get this one, dude,
Yeah,
It's,
it's not an easy route.
no, and you might be losing that home field advantage. You might be going on the road. So,
Correct. Yeah.
all right, yay, a Monday night doubleheader, yay. No, I
Mm.
don't like the doubleheader, but let's get it started with we have the Bills at the Falcons, and the Bills are 4.5-point favorites.
Yeah, Buffalo coming off that disappointing loss to New England on Sunday night there. And I don't know that it's going to really, you know, derail them at all. This Bills team has got a lot of amazing, weapons and stuff. But maybe got to get the ground game going a little bit more early and more often. Josh Allen leads the team in rushing. And again, he's amazing with his legs and moving the chains, but you do want it to be the running back's job to
Mm-hmm.
run the football, right? So, a great game out of Dalton Kincaid last week, 100 plus yards there. And, he does a great job spreading it around to all the other weapons there. Josh Palmer with a play there too, Shakir and everything. So a lot of decent weapons there. But I mean, this is the Josh Allen show, and he should be able to roll into Atlanta and right the ship after last week's disappointing loss.
Yeah, man. Although it is going to be rocking on Monday night down there in Atlanta, they're coming off the bye week, and I'm not really sure what I think about these
I
Falcons
know
so
it's a
far this year
mystery
because
too.
they've looked really good and then they've looked really bad. You're going to have
Yeah.
some of that up and down with the second-year quarterback, Michael Penix, obviously the future there. But Bijan's kind of doing everything, dude. Over 300 yards rushing on the season. He's also the leading receiver for these Falcons. So a big part of the game plan has to get this guy going. And if that Falcons defense can come up with a couple of turnovers, kind of change the field a couple times, they'll be in this. They'll have the crowd
Yeah.
behind them. And I would make the Bills slow down Bijan because so far teams have not been able to do it. So it'll be nice to have this game kind of as a standalone to actually get good eyeballs on the Falcons, and maybe I can get a little, better idea of who they are. And they need to either way they need to figure out what their identity is moving forward, what kind of team they're going to be.
Yeah, they got to feature Bijan though. That dude's an absolute
Mm-hmm.
beast. All right, the second of the games on the Monday Night Football schedule features the Chicago Bears at the Washington Commanders, and in this one, the Commanders are favored by 4.5. This could be a good football game, though, sneaky style.
Yeah, and the Bears have won back-to-back games, albeit close. They got blowed out by the Lions week 2, 52-21, but that really felt personal that, Dan Campbell wanted to smash them and smash their coach and smash everything about the Bears. Other than that, they've been playing pretty good football. The key is keeping Caleb in rhythm. When he
Yes.
gets to ad-libbing and doing his thing, that's when bad stuff
Yeah.
happens. If you can keep him on time, he's showing that he's making better decisions, get that ball out of there quick, and that's having pretty good results there. They did block a field goal to get that win against the Raiders before going on the bye, but I think Ben Johnson has this team going in the right direction, but still going to be tons of growing pains with these Bears, and they're going to play a Commandos team that's kind of getting healthy, coming off a big win.
Oof. Yeah. And what happened in this game last year? Right? Wasn't this
Oh yeah,
the Bears Commanders game that came down to the Hail Mary pass,
that's
and that
right.
sort of seemed to have changed the trajectory or really gave a boost, I
Absolutely.
think, to the Commandos there. And you talk about last week, man, they were down 10-0. The Chargers were driving before they forced that fumble on Quentin Johnston. The Commanders then uh, didn't stop until they scored 27 unanswered points and
Ugh.
basically clobbered the Chargers, finishing the game with a touchdown late there. Daniels was a very efficient 15 of 26 for 231, 100 quarterback rating even. And Krosky Merritt, dude, uh,
Oh,
in case you didn't know who this dude was, well, he introduced himself to the Chargers last week and 14 carries, 111 yards. I'm surprised they didn't give it to him 14 more times. I mean, their offensive line was destroying the Chargers defensive line. Look out, Bears, because this Bears defense I don't know if they're going to be able to handle the running game that the Washington Commanders can bring at you with this guy just right off tackle and
untouched on both of those
yeah,
touchdowns. It was like,
just
oh,
easy scores. He was gliding into the end zone with nobody covering the edge there. You got to give the offensive line and the scheme there that the Commanders were running a lot of credit. And Daniels can use his legs obviously too. But this is the equation you want: a running back with 111 yards. And he also grabbed 40 more yards receiving the football too. Deebo Samuel involved in the game plan as well. Very productive with 8 receptions and 96 yards and a touchdown for Deebo. And Luke McCaffrey, the brother, right? One huge play that set up a field goal for them. So, this is a Washington team that can play some physical football on the ground offensively. And if the Bears aren't ready for that, and they're just worried about containing the quarterback's legs, then they're going to be run over by Krosky Merritt.
yeah. When Krosky Merritt is running the ball, that means that Jaden Daniels is not. Those are less hits on Jaden Daniels,
Absolutely.
keeping him clean, get him healthy. But these are the number 1 and number 2 drafted quarterbacks from the previous
Very
year. So
cool.
let's see
Yeah.
what happens a
Yeah.
year later in a primetime game. Either way, it's going to be fun. But I have to say, go Bears, because I want the Commandos to die. Dave, so many ways for the people to check out the Football Dudes. The Trend Zone, available for subscription: Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Amazon Music, wherever you get your podcasts.
Yeah, subscribe to our YouTube channel, like us on Instagram and Facebook. Follow us on X at Football Dudes LA, and make sure you tag us across all social media platforms.
And while you're out there surfing the interwebs, go ahead and bookmark footballdudes.com. That is going to do it for this episode of the Trend Zone. We're not the suits that talk football. We're the dudes that know football. For Dave, I'm Casey. We are out of here.